Jin Air has some time to build up some strategies to fine-tune their play. Wouldn't be that shocked, honestly, given their track record, that this would be the time for Afreeca to drop things. But we are into the pick and ban, and the first thing taken away is going to be Caitlyn.
It's not something I'm shocked about, given how much we saw from Deft yesterday. And if you look at AD carry solo queue accounts, usually pretty boring. They're just playing the standard stuff. But Caitlyn is one that's been sticking out a little bit. A bigger pick in the LCS region, especially the EU LCS, where Caitlyn has been a massive pick. Big pick for Deft, big pick around the league. The lane dominance is cemented. Caitlyn first ban. It does mean perhaps we'll see more AD carry bans than last time out, where we were seeing a lot more of a focus on mid lane bans right at the end of 8.2.
Run down the clock on this one here. Afreeca will ban away the Kazakhs. Taking that out of the hands of Maybe want to get him on something a bit more passive.
Yeah, a lot of the strategy for Jin Air when it comes to the early game, we're not talking about the 94-minute games, talking about the early game, is around creating kind of all the pressure that happens. They usually have pretty safe standard farming lanes, and being crazy on the Kazakhs or the Camille or something like that. Speaking of Camille, I think Camille is a very smart ban against Afreeca Freecs, but do you have the ability to do it on red side is the problem. This season, Keen is 2-0. Spirit is our best jungle Camille at 3-0. So leaving Camille open in the flex pick nature, we even know that Tucson has played it in competitive at the support role, is always a pretty heavy cost. Teams are starting to feel like red side is more prioritized on this particular patch because the standard OPs, the list is pretty small. Feels like Gangplank might be a perma-ban, but everything else can kind of be considered. So we'll see what Jin Air wants to do here. So much left open, but that's just kind of the lay of the land on patch 8.3.
Well, Sejuani's going to be the final one here. So still plenty available. The Camille, as you mentioned.
Ezreal will be a very standard first pick as well. I would think Ezreal, especially given the meta that we've seen in the last few match days, but groupthink can always change, and this would be a reach, but it would cement the point you were making, Achilleos, that Afreeca Freecs have really been valuing the Azir, but no, quick change, it's going to be the Zoe, so we're going to see Kuro jump back onto this zone. We've seen great performance from him so far, as Jin Air is playing with the hearts here. I heard the Korean casters, they gasped.
Just going to have the hover here for the moment.
They're not going to lock in Sion. They're not going to lock in Swain.
Way too, they might lock in Sion, but
that's true. Sion,
way too early to see the Swain get locked in.
I definitely have Sion on the mind. That's a very likely pick for this series and the next one, and all of them this week. But the Swain is probably not going to be locked in.
So Kalista for now.
Look on the side of Jin Air. We'll see what they want to put together with the Kalista. Could take a mid laner in this round. They kind of have to take one early. Otherwise, you're left with winning matchup upon winning matchup. Okay. So just before we started pick and ban yesterday, I said the 3 champions I was looking for on patch 8.3 was Sion, Skarner as the 2 big ones. And the Skarner's already locked in here. The Victor was the 3rd one that I think will be rolled in there. Skarner, very big in the LCS regions, finally going to be picking up some priority here. See what wants to skill. There's a big disagreement with Korean Skarner players compared to LCS Skarner players. A lot of Q-Max Skarner, which is the old Max, of course, of the Crystal Slash, are not being going for the E-Max, which is very common in other regions. We'll keep track of it. Something had to give, and we're getting a battle, Achilleos. Someone's going to have an undefeated run on their AD carries taken away. It's going to be Varus versus the Kalista. So definitely the people who did their research were on point with this prediction.
Kramer has the longer-standing track record, so we'll see if you're going to add another victory there, or if Teddy's going to get the upset backing him up to make sure that this Varus can help stay alive and maintain that KDA. Will be the Tom Kench there for Tucson. And then a Talia into the mid lane for Grace.
Yeah, Talia, one of the standard farm lanes that was available where you can get a Banshee Veil, second item, and just try to deal with the situation.
Maybe even get a second Banshee's Veil.
That was an interesting choice by Pawn, who said he was nervous, but sold it in the end. So sadly, it wasn't a secret strategy we didn't know about. Here are the bans, and Jin Air have done their research. They do get to ban away the Camille without letting it be a flex pick for the side of Afreeca. See if Keen shows us something new. He's largely been on the GP, Camille, and Gnar train. He's also our resident top Rise, but Rise was the blue side ban here. So Gnar is the kind of tier list pick, as that is an Ornn. So amusingly, Ornn's character select icon is so hard to see from my angle that it looked like they didn't ban.
It is very faded, so it's a bit difficult to see at times. But Jax, very clearly going to be that last ban by the side of Jin Air.
And then you wonder for So-Won, because So-Won this season has had an effective champion pool of 3. Ornn, Gnar, and Vlad is all that he's played. He won't take any targeted bans. Afreeca, especially with Keen in great form, have a lot of confidence in going against him. They will counterpick, it seems, for the top lane. Seeing a little bit more Janna this season. I feel like it's still only kind of a necessary pick when it really counters a team comp. So in this particular game, I wasn't a big fan of it. We'll just go for the Braum, go for the tier-less support here. Nice answer against the Zoe as well, of course. So let's see what Afreeca wants to make of their draft. They have very good pick, they have very good poke, so they largely can do anything they want to round out this draft with an identity. They know they're against the Braum, they know early QSS in the mid lane will kind of delay the power spike for the Zoe, and we mentioned it, everyone is playing Sion. Keen playing it in solo queue as well. Glacial Augment Sion is the expectation here. Now the jungle pick. Spirit has been the mad scientist. He's played so many unique picks this season.
Yeah, blast from the past.
A farming jungler against Skarner. Will he fight farm against farm? We've seen already a couple of hovers just for a bit of personality. Will they actually lock it in? The answer is no. It's going to be the Nidalee. So a bit of aggression here. But it is also another target for the Skarner suppression. So it is a snowball choice, but basically they're saying, we want to get in there, we want to fight the Skarner early and not allow him a free farming phase to 6.
Yeah, and the Grapes would have been a lot better as far as wanting to buy QSS can transform that into the Mercurial Scimitar, whereas the Nidalee feels a little bit worse if you have to go for that item. So unless he can get massively ahead of Umti early on and can just rip him apart, likely going to have to pick that item up, and Gnar going to be the final lock-in for the top lane.
And we got the NA import matchup, Gnar versus Sion. A lot of people asking about why Sion, why so much Sion. 3 games played of Sion versus Gnar in the NA LCS. I believe the Sion didn't do too much winning in that matchup, but the thing about Sion is he's one of the few tanks who can lane against Gnar and not get slammed, just because Gnar is so good at laning against tanks with the mixed damage. So Sion versus Gnar, we'll see how the Korean spin on this matchup goes. Probably going to be not Comet for lane, probably going to be the Glacial Augment for a bit more CC. But I'm liking the fact that 8.3, even though it wasn't a massive patch in terms of amount of changes, seems to have changed things where it matters. We are getting new stuff. We're still unsure if it's going to decrease average game time after we had the very long meandering KSV series. But let's zoom in on this one. Afreeca Freecs on a 10-game winning streak. Jinair really falling away in terms of form. Some new picks, but a pick comp largely put together by the side of Afreeca Freecs, whereas Jinair, can they get the Skarner to relevance? Because we've seen Skarner's heavily attacked in the early game when we've seen him a few times in Korea.
Well, with the Nidalee, they want to attack him in the early game. That's exactly when they want to do it. They want to shut him down, control those spires, and make sure that Umti can't become this unstoppable force to just go into the back line, pick off the Varus, and drag him out, and everyone blow him up. So Afreeca going to have to be very proactive here in this early game with this Nidalee. Let's see how they're going to rotate around the map, see if they can get that Sion ahead as we dive into game number 1, Afreeca Freecs versus Jinair GreenWings.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Jinair fans being very vocal, even giving themselves a follow-up cheer for being so boisterous there in the audience. It's very nicely done there. Wednesday afternoon, just after the holiday. We find ourselves here at about 5:10 p.m. in Korea.
And ready for some sick 8.3 League of Legends. That's what we're hoping for here.
I'm ready for League of Legends in general.
I'll let you take
even
that back.
Even if it's not so sick.
I think it'll be good today. I'm excited to see if Afreeca can continue with just kind of the irreverent aggression we've seen from them. They've been very good at pushing leads the last couple of series, and honestly all season, apart from a couple of hiccups towards the start. Speaking of starts, we are going to have a Predator Skarner. Oh boy, this has been big in Korean solo queue. All about that pseudo ghost effect, where you just turbo Skarner without even boots of mobility or anything like that, and a bit of extra burst on usually your ultimate, which is usually the first ability you use when you come out of the Predator movement speed. So while it seemed like a gimmicky solo queue choice or a Hecarim only rune, it is going to be used on the Skarner as well, and it will be Comet. So against the Gnar, going to go for a little bit more lane presence, not going to be the Glacial Augment, so it feels like went with the solo queue special, and Keen has gone for more of the competitive rune when it comes to the Comet Scion, but we're going to see so much Scion this week that we can sit back and reevaluate the win rates as we get more time.
Just going to go ahead and remind you how damn good Tucson has been this season.
He's been pretty damn good.
With that lower third. And, you know, it used to be that problem where we would start praising Tucson. He would fall apart and start basically inting into the bottom lane, but this season he has avoided that quite well.
Well, I mean, you're really setting him up for a bad performance with a comment like that, so we'll reevaluate that one. We won't just do the both of us praise him and see what happens situation. But he's going to be on a little bit less playmaking. Tahm Kench can certainly have MVP performances, but usually is purely about the disengage.
Yeah, just shutting down enemy engages.
I had a chat with before the game started, and I've talked to him about Skarner before, because he actually speaks some pretty good English, so he is actually able to have some conversations about the jungle meta, and he's a big fan of QMax Skarner, so it's going to be more of the QMax Skarner, guys. The EMAX, the NA, EU, and just kind of the group thing for most people outside of Korea is EMAX Skarner after the buffs, and I must admit, I play it, and I'm a big fan of it, but it seems like QMax is the popular choice here in Korea, which to me says you want to be able to skirmish. Maxing Q does more damage to champions over time in a pure skirmish pre-6, so to me the only reason you would actually go for QMax is around that particular metric.
Not supposed to talk about his English, man. That's how they get exported out of Korea.
Don't talk to any of your Team Liquid friends. Don't talk to them.
I am not assisting anyone getting players. Certainly not Despite Jinair's track record, I quite like the guy, and I quite like watching him play.
I tried to assist his Skarner skill order, and he doesn't agree with me, so as you can see, QMax. Same with Spirit.
So you want him gone.
He
He didn't listen to you, so you're like, get out of here. Send him to America.
He wouldn't fit in there. They don't max Q over there, Achilles.
It'd be even worse.
He just wants to farm, so we're kind of waiting for Nidalee to start doing her thing. First item, Tracker's Knife, so this is the part where the battle warding usually starts for the Nidalee player.
Kramer taking quite a bit of damage there from the Pierce out of Teddy. Harass him down as much as possible. Seismic Shove connects onto Kuro, but he's fine.
Comet Scion.
Top lane's a bit more interesting than usual because of the Comet.
So the Comet works so well with Roar of the Slayer because Roar of the Slayer slows, guarantees a Comet hit, and also it shreds armor, so it actually does bonus damage as well on the Comet. So it's just really good harass. The one thing I was struck by yesterday, we'll see if I have time to talk about it later, is
Yep, finds him, connects in with the Spear, takes him down quite low. Stun comes in. Spirit now starting to back away. He looking to land another one for faster little follow-up, but instead we'll just go a separate way and peel back out of the jungle.
Knew it would start
That's
here.
the vision. He's going back in. Spire taken.
He's got Zoe backing him up, so this should at minimum force out. They're actually trading control wards here.
Tries to get the trap down, can't have it. Sleeping Trouble Level does come through, and Grace is just going to cleanse that one off immediately. Seems like the War of Attrition going to be won here by Spirit as he tries to take away the Spire and the Rafters as well.
So the question is why? Why are they actually reinforcing the invade with their jungler here to control the top side? Killers, the big reason for that is that Skarner will not be able to visit the top side of the map, and that means that Scion can kind of push with his E every time the minion wave comes in and just actually be a lane bully to the Gnar, especially early before something like a Black Cleaver is finished. This allows Nidalee to vertically jungle on the top side of the map, so it's a lot of extra safety to the Scion. Bot lane doesn't need more safety. They have a Tahm Kench already to disengage any ganks, so the theory here is that getting control top side helps the top laner more than any sort of penalty can happen if Skarner takes over the bottom side. So that's why we see such a reinforcement with Spirit and Kuro invading the ring.
Oh, nicely done. It's going to give Spirit a very slight little lead here to start things off. And see coming back in, just going to be picking up the Ruby Crystal alongside his own Tracker's Knife.
Scion is the tank. Auron has been nerfed, so Scion has jumped forward, very unkillable, has 3 AoE skills, 2 of which are just used for farming. So he's happy to push. Something that can potentially be penalized, as Grace was around the top side of the map. Just clearing vision here, doesn't want to give up the top side and allow Scion to have a free laning phase, but whether he has the pressure or not, Scion will always get to the minions with all the ranged farming I mentioned, so it's just his safety that has really propelled him into this scenario where he can lane against Gnar, who is the biggest threat to a tank, so in basically every scenario, he feels pretty good.
See right there, just keeping up completely there with So has been a good laning phase so far for Keen. We saw some hesitation there from MT, just threw down a control ward into the top brush, but wasn't able to go in for the gank. Not level 6, doesn't have the impale, and even so, if he does, Unstoppable Onslaught can just come through and deny that CC. Kuro tries to get a hit in onto Grace, finds it. Down on the face, takes a little bit of damage in train, but wildly comes out on top.
Kuro's accuracy and also his inventiveness on the Zoe has been something I complimented. Obviously everyone can play Zoe, and Zoe does have very obvious power, but we've seen some nuanced play from Kuro that's really impressed me so far, and shown that this player who kind of is up and down, we feel like Kuro either really masters a champion or struggles with it. He has mastered the Zoe, threads another trouble bubble.
Yeah,
See if Spirit can follow this
up.
up.
Star in. Going low, they get the spear connection. Spirit doesn't want to even flash into this one, tries to get it. One more hit for Empty to go down, won't be able to find it. And they'll just take away the Spire. Flash down on both junglers.
Yeah, but getting flashed down on Skarner means that now only Spirit really has any threat of the Skarner invading. And they're already on the front foot, so that interaction is unlikely to happen. Gonna steal away the Raptors, try to retake the top side control, as the bot side has been almost entirely abandoned by both teams. Spirit himself has fallen behind woefully on the Skarner and still been relevant in the late game. It's been a tough early game phase as Spirit thinking about a dive.
Call has come through, so on peeling back all the way underneath the turret. Nearly has the transformation ready to go as well as the ultimate. The smash comes through, they try to chunk down So Spear connects in, he is low, needs that transformation right about now, but Afreeca don't want to commit. They know that he'll get the Meganar stun in underneath the turret and likely lead to a death, so they just decide to peel back.
And turn on to an answering objective. Something KSV struggled to do with yesterday was trading pressure. When there's pressure top side, bot side should be free, and that means they're going to walk up. Rend and Smite happy to secure first Drake of the game. The Ocean will help the laning phase, particularly the Talia that probably needs a bit of regen after every paddle star comes through. So with the vertical jungling we discussed, Spirit is able to harass down So1, doesn't blow a flash or get the kill. And Jinner actually get the objective trade there by picking up the Ocean Drake.
Nicely done. Spirit now going to find that his Raptors have been taken. It comes down as well, so just going to be sitting in vision as he tries to go for the Spire.
Doesn't spot out Omti.
He's hovering nearby. You can see the roam eventually coming through from Teddy. He's pushing his way up.
They have no idea that he's here. The reason why he didn't hit the blasting plant was to add extra doubt to Spirit for which side of the jungle the Skarner was on, but in the end, Skarner just going to back away. Has a blue buff to serve up.
That's more important than getting a kill. Trying to go for one. Take care of your mid laner, so Graves will go ahead and find that blue buff for himself. He pops his way back into lane.
Very interesting to take a step back and think about the comps they're put together here. Afreeca strongest in the siege. They have Nidalee, Zoe, and the Varus for his own poke, but largely for turret taking speed. So in general, Afreeca have very good poke. They also have very good skirmish because they have pick CC in every lane, and Nidalee, of course, provides the damage. Kha'Zix-esque in that way. True 5v5 team fight, a lot of kite back required, so you would say they're strongest in that. I think Jin actually have some more team fight options. This is a lot of aggression.
Yeah, he's going to go in, flashes in to try to get the Devour, and will spit right back out, but the Fate's Call is just going to drag him straight back out. Now the pop-up comes through as they knock him up into the air, but Kuro's going to be finding the first blood as the first kill comes through as Wraith goes down. Teddy just trying to jump around the outskirts of the fight, goes low, one more hit, might be able to take him down. Kuro flashes in, looking for the autos, manages to finish him off, flashes away, but is taking turret shots actively. Uses the portal jump, gets a hit in onto Umti, but it's not going to be enough to finish him off, and he pays for that one with his life. Now 3-2 in favor of Jin, but Spirit maybe looking to equalize that count, but just can't chase in underneath the turret to finish off the Skarner.
And that was single-digit health on the Skarner. He lives. That would have spared the blushes from Afreeca, who were out-rotated with Umti. Umti was bot side, as he has been for the last few minutes, able to get involved in the fight. We're going to see the replay.
Really
this
odd call.
Crazy aggression from Tucson. Flashes for the Devour aggressively. It means it's not up. They're able to turn on. Raim is instantly stunned up and isn't able to get much damage. Teddy does some great skipping around in this fight. Does eventually die to the auto attacks, but the fact that he bought that extra time and drew an extra flash out of Kuro meant that Kuro basically was always going to die in the trade. So Jin trades up where they're strong. Spirit's not done with the invader.
Yeah, Gets a little bit of damage there onto Umpty, but with the arrival of Grace, has to peel back. He might have just taken away that big Raptor, however, with the spear.
All things considered, both mid laners picking up the green. 2 kills for both of them in that particular scenario. Spirit's still invading. This is the true battle war. Peanut's watching this and nodding his head. He's proud of this particular level of aggression from Spirit.
Well, so on, trying to alleviate some of that pressure. We'll start pushing down, has that Meganar threat. And Spirit, he's had his fill. He says, okay, you know what, I took away enough camps there, enough minions away from you, so I'll just go back into my own jungle, keep farming, and he's got a blue buff to serve up over to Kuro.
And a scenario like that looks pretty subtle. It's not a big thing to talk about. But the reason why I want to discuss what we just saw on our screens with Nidalee feeling strong enough to invade into the Krug camp in this particular game, the reason why it's relevant is that that's with Gnar. Usually Gnar is the champion who has lane priority in every lane, and then you have Gnar and Nidalee and you can invade. The reason why we do see this Sion part is that Sion can push in. He can actually allow you to play an invasion style around top side against the Gnar. Speaking of invasion.
That's going to be the Flash Impale coming through the Dragonman. Flashes away. Seismic Shove catches him, and Grace finds the kill. 4-2. Jin Air starting to move forward, and Teddy will net himself a red buff take as well.
This will feel like a fiesta, but it's both teams playing around where they're strong. Top side, it's all about Afreeca. Bot side, Jin Air spent more time. They have more control. And now we're just seeing people visit top side and bot side and get advantages left, right, and center. Jin Air are the ones that profit once again. Shouldn't be trying to invade your bot side jungle without your jungler if you're Kuro. So a misread on the map might actually cost them more as this turret's already low.
Looking to get knocked down. First brick still unclaimed. Jin Air want that burst of gold, because right now, despite having the kill advantage, the gold is still very tight-knit, just about 100 or so separating these guys here at the moment.
Take a deep breath. There's been so much action in this game. It
really has been a
definitely
lot of
appreciated after a very passive 8.2. They're still walking up here as Kramer was able to build up his Rage Blade, his top side.
Get into the top lane. Well, that Unstoppable Onslaught not going to be netting much there for Keen as they try to jump in on top of So On. Spirit tries to chase in, but won't be able to finish him off, but they get the flash down away from the Gnar.
Ultimate's down, so there's going to be some spiring.
Oh boy.
Or is there?
Kuro here, yeah, maybe in a bad spot. Trouble Bubble not going to find much. Seismic Shove knocks him back again. He tries to jump forward to the Paddle Star, but it's just going to be too late, and there's no way to escape to his natural flash. Not back up yet, so Kuro will die yet again, now 2-3-0. And Jin Air GreenWings.
More people going to die.
Well, they want that turret pretty badly. The Impale not available here for the Skarner, but might not even need
no
it.
minion wave for a while.
Glacial Fissure comes through, and Wraith actually takes a hell of a lot of damage. The Devour there from Tucson will keep Kramer alive, so he can keep poking and clearing out the waves. And actually, yeah, maybe a bit of a botch here by Jin Air, but they're still sticking around.
Let's do it again.
Shove comes through, flash away. Wraith going to get tossed in. Not going to be finding much, and has to get the heal out from Teddy in order to stay alive. Afreeca Freecs, Kramer, and Tucson still managed to hold on to not only their lives, but the turret.
We feel like we're spectating a really stacked high elo Korean solo queue game with the amount of aggression we've seen in the early game. LPL's not back, but a day early, you're getting a preview. Jin Air had the right idea of wanting to get more of an advantage, but they didn't have a minion wave. They had to wait. They didn't want to wait. They wanted to have it all now. The penalty there means they don't get the turret they were setting up for. They don't get the bonus kills. And if anything, we reset no closer to knowing who's actually going to take this first turret bot lane.
Yeah. No way there for Kramer to finish off the Jin Air bot turret. Hasn't been able to get into a position to actually work it down much. And with the Skarner there sitting in the wings, threatening the Impale, this is too much of a risk, so they have to go ahead and peel back away from that.
I think we can breathe now. I think we can start to whittle down the tension. I don't see anyone within 200 units of their opponents apart from laners. Again, I think the biggest takeaway for people trying to understand the 8.3 meta is how impressive Sion is in lane. I know we're talking about it a lot, but the fact that he can push in, stay equal in CS against a champion who's literally created to counter tanks is a big thing. So I'm liking the Sion, playing it in solo queue as well, so a bit of bias there.
I was going to say,
everything else is just
you're such a one-trick fanboy right now.
But everything else is just action, 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 which is fun to watch. But right now, the lay of the land is only a 500 gold lead despite the 3-kill lead to Jin Air GreenWings.
Afreeca have been keeping up rather well. Some suffering there out of the mid lane, however, as far as the CS is concerned. Kuro just getting picked on a bit too much. Does cost him as he finds himself in a 27 CS deficit. But even then, Not the most. He'll still have those impactful paddle stars coming through, provided he can land the skill shots. Still will be chopping people down to half HP. As long as he's got that going for him, I'm sure Kuro is going to be very happy with how things have played out. It wishes that he just hadn't died nearly as many times.
I mean, he just keeps wanting to invade bot side jungle and dies multiple times trying to do it. So I think he's learned his lesson. No more Raptors for him. In terms of the identity these teams want to hit in the early to mid game, they actually have very differing identity. Afreeca want to draw the game very narrow. They want to play 4-1 and just siege in the mid lane with all their line skill shots. Jin want to make the map much wider with Gnar on the top side and then Taliyah, rock surfing in the bot side and then responding with a Weaver's Wall. So the first turret going down one way or the other is so massive in this game because that's the thing that allows you to rotate more aggressively and actually set up your game plan.
Oh boy,
we're seeing which way the setup goes.
Be pushing forward here. That's going to be the Weaver's Wall coming through. Throws out the Chain of Corruption as Kramer gets the lockdown. So now it's going to be several members in trouble as Tucson does fall. Safety not going to be available for Afreeca, and Grace is still poking in on the sidelines. Meanwhile, very far forward is Keen. He is going to get popped as Teddy finds the double kill. He'll get the transformation off the passive, but barely gets any damage done, and that is going to lead to Jin Air not only extending their kill lead, but also knocking down this turret.
You see how desperate Afreeca are to not let the turret go down, but Keen finished the teleport 4v1. Is never going to get anything out of that, just dies. Bot lane turret finally goes down. Jin Air now have massive map control against a siege team that we know really only has one way to play the game. That way looks likely to be denied. And Afreeca Freecs, the holiday hangover we were talking about, is so hot when you're 10-0 playing 2 matches a week. You take a week off and then suddenly the game plan looks a lot less polished.
Certainly have pulled off, it would seem, here for the Afreeca Freecs. Still not the largest gold lead here, just getting ready to hit about 3,000, which at 18 and a half minutes, 19 minutes in is still going to be quite significant, but there still is that potential chance for them to come back into this.
Ward's here. Ward's obviously competitive, always important, but now you're a turret down against Predator Skarner. If Predator Skarner's coming out of the darkness, if you have very little control of vision, you are going to get picked, and the QSSs aren't there. You notice Zoe, not against a Malzahar, but against a Skarner, has not gone QSS early in the build. There are no QSSs. They have Taliyah and a Turbo Skarner. The amount of pick from those two champions is immense, and it can basically happen on command anywhere on the map.
Afreeca just going to go ahead and invest into the top lane as they send Keen down to the bot side.
That's just getting back to lane, by
Yep,
the way.
that's him just charging his way into the lane. Meet the wave at the turret at the tier 2. Try to keep that one alive. Spirit now going to show himself out of the brush, and Upti is waiting in the wings.
Predator!
His way up. That's going to be the Weaver's Wall yet again as Jin Air just converges onto the top side of the map. Tucson goes forward. He is going to go down as the Impale rips him apart. Now Kramer and Spirit both forced to flash over the wall, but they still won't be making it out alive. Kramer goes down. Spirit jumping away as fast as his little legs can take him. He will survive. But yet again, it's going to be Jin Air taking control over the map. Mid-tier 1 going down. Top very likely to fall shortly. And Jin Air, things are coming out. They might just be starting up Baron.
They already have Achilles. They've got the Ren secure. They're on it. There's no vision yet for Afreeca. They're going to start walking there. Will they be able to contest it? It's 20 minutes into the game.
Down to half HP here, so on. Looking to gatekeep as they try to push forward. Several members of Jin Air getting chunked lower and lower, but the Ren is going to be there for the confirmation. There we go. We see it taken away. As Jin Air finds it. Bates call does toss Wraith forward. Glacial Fisher comes down. Now they're going to have to start to peel back. Abyssal Voyage comes in from Tucson, but he's got no range. He can't collapse in onto these members of Jin Air, so they will be able to exit safely with this Baron buff just 20 and a half minutes into the game.
And I'm in love with this duo of the Skarner and Taliyah because the amount of aggression against a poke comp who's always going to be weakest to engage is just working out a treat. We're seeing the Predator and the Taliyah Weaver's Wall for turret dives because they're so confident that if they can close the gap on Zoe, on Nidalee, all of them are right targets for the Skarner Impale. They're getting the kills, they're transitioning into an absurdly decisive Baron, basically off spawn. That was just a case of them looking at a timer. Wraith, usually their shot caller, saying, we can do this. They certainly could, and now it feels like Afreeca are in disarray because how will you ever have enough map control to enact a poke comp when basically you don't control anywhere on the map and you have Baron buff minions pushing in 3 lanes?
Thought about the interaction. What if we see, a portal jump forward from the Zoe, immediately impaled, and then just teleports right back.
So the impale, I believe, will be cancelled by the portal jump. So just like
Yeah.
with an Alistair headbutt, you can do a sick outplay there, but of course it'll be available again when she's back in range. So we very well might see that interaction. Banshee Veil is complete, so at least one spell will have to hit to allow the impale to be used.
There we go.
Jenna takes the standing gold. They play 3 lanes much superior with how this comp is set up. Happy to push in and get further turret damage. And the poke comp doesn't have any vision denial to throw spears out of, so the threat is so little from the Nidalee.
I mean, in just 3 minutes time, Janair has basically doubled their gold lead, and are looking to add more on top of that. Keen has to play back. Transformation comes through for the decimating smash, but won't be able to find it. As they just try to hold on desperately to these inner turrets, but you can see the damage comes through.
It's so early in the
down.
game. It's so early in the game. The Baron buff minions are going to do so much work against the Zoe. Kramer has 2 items, but no Hurricane this early in the build. Understandable. He's expecting threats in his face, but Jinair just keeps moving forward. When you're a poke comp, you can't cheat through the jungle to follow these people doing turret damage. There's such a threat of the Predator Skarner catching you. So they're just going to get turret damage, disengage, go to another lane, control wards will stick, and there's basically nothing Afreeca can do.
Even coming back from this point, it's a bit of a dire situation to say the least here. Spirit has done nothing. He has been around, but 0-0-0 the scoreline there for the Nidalee. It's just been a farm machine, but Umti's the one walking away with the potential victory here under his belt. 1-0-7 on this Skarner. Nearly 100% kill participation.
And people will wonder where it went wrong, because I actually like the draft from Afreeca. It is a poke comp, so of course an element of risk, but it's sort of poke comp that if it ever got ahead, there'd be few options for Jinair. And engaging against a baroned up poke comp or a poke comp that has a Scion in the front and plenty of damage, it's usually just to your detriment. Where it fell apart was Kura giving away multiple kills on the bottom side, and Afreeca not understanding that they had insane advantages. We did see Spirit do one thing this game, get into the red side jungle and contest, slow down the Skarner. But because their bottom side was weaker, they had to respect that. Instead, they gave over advantages bot side. They never could actually grow the top side advantage fast enough because things fell apart very quickly when Kura died twice in about 5 minutes. And then they just never had the map control to actually put their comp to good use.
We saw them once, go up, had the dive ready to go on to so on. He was dangerously low, but they respected the Mega Gnar so much that they didn't want to go in for it. Couldn't finish off the Gnar, and they just haven't been able to surge Keen forward. Him TPing into 4 members also doesn't help out Freecs very much. As we see so on with the juke just coming through, keeps himself safe. Spirit is roaming his way over, but yeah, he's not going to get caught.
Casually keeps his flash as well. Has the movement speed. Went for fleet footwork this game for just a bit more maneuverability. That served it up a treat in that particular case, and because they used so many members to try to get the kill on the Gnar with flash up, well, guess what? They're going to lose the turret in the bot side. Baron buff may have worn off, but the good times still roll for Jinair.
Yeah, they're going to lose another turret in the bot side. As it turns out, Weaver's Wall to lock off the members of Afreeca Freecs. They have plenty of poke over the wall, but they can't clear out the minion waves. They can't get that much meaningful damage in. Spears and Battle Stars alike ready to be blocked there by Wraith with the Unbreakable. And Jinair can just continue with their own siege as they have exposed an inhibitor there in the bottom side.
Yeah, this game escalated. It was so amusing. A bit of a fiesta in the early game because both teams seemed to know where they were strong. Sadly, Afreeca didn't know where they were weak, and that really has counted against them. They've had no control of the map ever since about the 17-minute mark, and the Baron at 20 minutes was the biggest cherry on top for the smart moves that Jinair made. Again, loving Skarner and Talia, and the decisive play around how much pick threat they have against a comp that only has 1 QSS on the top catch.
Here, the Paddle Star's not really chunking Umti for much. Jinair just pushes in. Teddy jumping around like a madman, trying to whittle away at this inhib. Pretty much only a matter of time unless Afreeca can pull the trigger on a massive engage. That does nothing.
Well, I mean, that breaks it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the AP behind it, not massive. Went for the Athenes for a bit more utility, but certainly not for sheer damage this early into the game. Teddy, not as long-range AD carry, is able to walk up, just dances past a couple of Paddle Stars and Trouble Bubbles. They take their first inhibitor at the 26-minute mark.
It feels like, you know, Kuro, ever since he had those 3 deaths come through, he's just kind of like sort of wavering as far as his accuracy with the skill shots is concerned. Was pretty on point at the beginning in his trades with Grace, but ever since then, you know, he'll land the Trouble Bubble, but the Battlestar will be on cooldown, so he can't follow up for that.
And also,
he's just
if
whiffing
he
left
hits
and
the
right.
full rotation, you know, only now is the Void Star finished. He doesn't have massive damage behind. It's not a huge damage build. At this point, there are no Leandries, for example, that Zoe will want to pick up, so I think it's just a sign that they feel rushed, they feel pressured, they understand that the best case scenario team fights when you're 10,000 gold behind, you probably still lose them. So a lot of great options here, a lot of engage to respect when Predator and Flash, now Righteous Glory also is up for Umti. So Afreeca have given away easy objectives, hard objectives, basically everything because they've had to. But unfortunately for them, there doesn't seem to be light at the end of the tunnel with their team fight.
11,000 gold down. Infernal, Drake, Cloud, and Ocean all there for Jin Air. And even if we make it all the way to an Elder, probably have about 4 stacks ready to go for that. Baron's going to get started up. They have the Ren to go ahead and take that one away, and there's just nothing Afreeca can do. Even if they know that this is being taken rather, still just no way for them to really answer this to try to take that one away. So another Baron going over to Jin Air here. 2 Barons, just 28 minutes into the game. That's a bit of a rarity here for us.
Another one of those rarities. Will we have the game end with Nidalee not on the scoreboard? 0, 0, and 0. Some good counter jungling in the early game, but
yeah, I think he can make it on the scoreboard. I'm pretty sure that Spirit will die before the end of this game.
I mean, it's possible he doesn't. We've never had the 0, 0, 0 ending. 0, 1, 0 is the closest we ever got. So wait and see what happens there. That was also in an Afreeca game, but Afreeca was on the winning side of that one. So,
I mean, this is a really, you know, quite the transition here for Afreeca. If they somehow, if they don't manage to somehow turn this game around.
I mean, this game is pretty far gone. This series certainly possible. As another Weaver's Wall. Man, Grace has been great with the Weaver's Wall usage
Really
this
on
game.
point. There's that one in as they try to go ahead and work down one of the final remaining turrets of the game. So on in the meantime, he's on to the Nexus turrets. He's just going to be whittling away at that. And the members of Afreeca, they have to peel back. Creep's still there, will get smited, so they just can't finish off that turret. But you can see it's true desperation here for the members of the Afreeca Freecs.
And the awesome thing is, remember, this is 6-2 Afreeca looking to join Kingzone at 7 match wins in the first round robin against the 3-5 Jin Air that always looked like the little train that could, but haven't been able to get the results recently. The train's hitting high gear. The Glad plane is almost out, at least for game 1. And Jin Air is showing us something new, but piloting it better than we could have expected.
Yeah, another in him going down too, so now getting jumped on, gets absolutely annihilated, but manages to pop the Grey Health Shield just in time to keep himself alive, but he's going to be waddling his way back to the fountain to try to re-enter the fight. Jin Air, so much pressure that can be applied by these guys at the moment. They still have a minute and a half left on that Baron buff.
Afreeca Freecs, as you say, completely backs against the wall. And you know what? The wall isn't necessarily representing anything good. Right now, they're just stuck. There's nothing they can do. They're looking likely to lose their 3rd inhibitor. The game are likely to follow. Just waiting for that first big pick, likely from Umti.
Kuro getting chunked down. 3rd and final inhib going to be taken here in the mid lane. Super Creep's going to be pushing in on all sides. Weaver's Wall does come through. Afreeca Freecs going to be contained on this side. It's the first Nexus turret. Gets ready to go down. Houston waiting for the Devourer to try to keep somebody alive. Turret's still standing here for the moment.
So
on is really focusing on the wave clear, but Keen, he's going to get knocked in. Uses the onslaught just to get himself a few feet away so he can make it back into the fountain. But with him not in the front line, that opens up for the poke here onto the rest of the members of the Afreeca Freecs. Battlestar hit onto Umti, does chunk him down significantly, but Kramer takes a lot of damage and has to flash away. They will hold on for the moment, though. Jin Air do not want to toss this all out right here at the Nexus. They want to make sure they can close this one out cleanly.
Yeah, the game doesn't end here, but Jin Air knows their window is wide open. They're not in any threat of being outscaled. They have the superior 5v5, as Afreeca were largely about the siege. So go back, purchase. We'll have buffs to pick up very shortly as well. The Cloud Drake, I guess you could take, but realistically, this game should not last till the Elder Dragon spawns. All Afreeca can do is start to push out their minion waves, hope that their inhibitors respawn. They're so unlikely to get any semblance of a fight they're searching for because they're desperately far behind.
This is when Jin Air finds themselves on the receiving end of the 94-minute long game.
Good news.
They're the aggressors. They're the ones trying to push in.
Good news, Teddy has Sorcery, and every time he takes Sorcery, he has Gathering Storm, so his Storm's ready to go. Kramer and Kuro have the memo as well. It's Jin Air, guys. Both sides know.
Fully prepared for this moment. Jin Air certainly looking a bit more prepared than the Afreeca Freecs. Holiday, maybe a bit too much celebration coming through from them as see that Impale come down in onto Kuro the Devourer, immediately taking them away. They'll stay healthy here for the moment, trying to poke down Umpty, but just no damage really connecting.
And he's going to take the
last
turret.
Yeah, last Nexus turret will go down. Massive seismic shove, pushes in 3 into the Gnar ultimate, and they are just going to rip through the members of the Afreeca Freecs. The bot lane getting decimated, everybody else retreating back into the fountain. A triple kill for Teddy, who says, hello guys, I'm back. Finishes it out, gets another win, and will maintain that 100% win rate with the Kalista. Jin Air GreenWings take game 1.
Yeah, what a performance by Jin Air, just really capturing the imagination with the Taliyah and Skarner combo. Best Skarner performance we've seen of the season goes to Umti, but Grace's performance here was fantastic.
Yes.
Amazing performance. Second time on the Taliyah, oh so much better. We've seen some decent Taliyah recently, but not this expert use of the Weaver's Wall, both as a gap closer, the TF ultimate when they were diving turrets, but also just to take turrets with the walls behind to stop the defenders. Afreeca Freecs have to regroup. They can throw that particular strategy out. They definitely don't need to run a poke cup again, but they were surgically disseminated. Kuro, I think, the most to blame for giving away the bot side, but just all together, they couldn't play to their win conditions. Jin Air certainly could, and the end result was a comfortable victory for Jin Air.
Afreeca Freecs have not had a 2-1 victory yet this season. Might be the first one. Still don't want to count them out of this series, but Jin Air maybe looking to upset the team that would otherwise be second place here in the LCK. Already them moving to second place, even if they close out this series, by giving away a game to Jin Air, who have been faltering heavily throughout the 2018 season, is already a bit damning for the Afreeca Freecs.
You might even consider a Taliyah ban with how good Grace was on it, but all the momentum sucked out of Afreeca. They need to turn it around.
Yeah, it might be time to edit that ESPN top 20. We'll find out when we come back from the break if Jin Air can make this a 2-0 victory in a massive upset.